In this video, we will focus on how to easily manage your elevation naming standards using Ideate BIMLink. One of the challenges with Revit is the ability to quickly review and edit elevation naming schema. As we are cartooning out our drawing sets, we find ourselves placing many elevation tags in our models. We soon realize that it will take forever to review each room and the associated elevation tags for the purpose of name editing. While we can review some of the naming conventions through Revit schedules, Revit fails to provide us with enough data to make informed decisions on how we want to rename our elevations. One such example is with the view orientation. Since Revit does not provide us with this information, we have to carefully review our plans to figure out the orientation of our elevation tags so that we can use that information to appropriately rename our elevation views. Thankfully, we have Ideate BIMLink to assist us with our elevation naming challenges. Ideate BIMLink makes short order of elevation naming tasks by allowing users to export elevation-related data, such as elevation orientation, room name, room number, and level location, so that we can create a naming schema for our elevations. A process that normally takes many hours or days can now be completed within minutes using the power of Ideate BIMLink in Excel. Let's have a look at this process. You can see from my project browser that I have many interior elevations that are in need of naming. And that's because I placed many elevation tags within my Revit model, but now I have to come back and correlate those elevation tags with the room information. And I'm going to be using Ideate BIMLink to help me with this task. It is important to note that I did use Ideate Renumber to confirm all of my room numbering. This way I can use the room numbering schema as part of my interior elevation naming convention. I'm going to launch BIMLink, and I'm going to hit New. And in my search field, I'm going to type in the word interior. And you can see we have a link here called QC Views Interior Audit. Let's have a look at that. I'll go ahead and expand this dialog box, and you can see that these are all the parameters that are mapped with this particular link. You can add or remove parameters as you see fit. In this case, I'm going to go to the elevation room category, and I'm going to add a level. And the reason why I'm adding this parameter is because I want to use this parameter information as part of my naming schema for my interior elevations. Take note that I'm targeting the title on sheet and or view name for this exercise. One other thing that is important to note, under the Filters tab, you can see we are filtering this list of elevations based on the elevation room number where it's applicable. Meaning if an elevation is placed within a room that has a number, it is applicable. If that does not work for you, you can either clear out this filter or add more filters to this list to get the filtering combinations that you want. Now that I'm done, I'm going to hit the Done button and I'm going to hit Export. And I'm going to replace the Worksheet tab that already exists in this particular Excel file. And the reason why is I have a formula in there that automatically will help me report north, east, south, or west based on this view orientation. When I come over here to the Formulas tab, you can see that formula. And you can see some angles or degree angles in here that say if it's between 315 and 45, it'll be north. If it's between 45 and 135, it's east, and so forth. With that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and select this information over here and copy it to the clipboard. And then I'm going to come over here and in column N for Nancy, I'm going to paste this information and you can see it reports north. So once again, it's reading column H2 and it's going to be reporting north, east, south, or west. I'll go ahead and fill this down. Now that that's complete, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this information and use the information from columns E and F and from columns M and N to create a naming schema for columns I and J. Feel free to pause this video at any point in time if you'd like, so that you can see the formulas that I'm using, so that you can mimic this information for your renaming schema. You can see now that this room is named Overflow 127 North _ Level 1. What I'm going to do now is fill this information down. And here are all my elevation names. I'm going to take this information now and copy this to the clipboard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first paste it under column J, the view name. And this is the name that shows up in the project browser. I'm going to paste just a special. This way I don't get any of the formulas. Now, I have to be very careful here. If I import this information back into the Revit model, that is, what could potentially happen is if you have any sort of duplicate names here, BIMLink will error out just on those duplicate names. And that is because Revit does not allow for the duplicate names in the project browser. This is part of that whole error handling that is included within BIMLink. To check for duplicate names, I can come to the conditional formatting, highlight cell rules that are duplicate values. And you can see here that there are several elevations that have duplicate names. I'll have to correct these manually before bringing this information back in. To make short order of this video, I'm going to go ahead and undo the view name, and I'm going to instead use a title on sheet. And I can do this because Revit allows for duplicate names for the title on sheet. Normally, you would want both of these to be correctly named, so we could input this information back into column J and fix those duplicate names. And if we want to override any of those names with a title on sheet, we can do so here as well. I'll go ahead and hit save and minimize this, and I'm going to come back to BIMLink, and I'm going to import this Excel file, and I'm going to pick the first worksheet in there. And if I expand this, we could see here that all the title on sheet information has now changed. It's all capitalized. It looks appropriate. However, in the project browser for this exercise, the elevation names will remain the same until I go back and correct those duplicates. I'll go ahead and hit import, and you can see here on my sheet now, all of my interior elevations have been appropriately named based on the room names and the room numbers and the orientation and also the level information. Visit our website at ideatesoftware.com to learn more about our products, workflows, help, and upcoming classes. Be sure to also follow us on social media for the latest information and news from Ideate Software. Thank you.